Hi, we're Jaime and Cristina Farias, authors of The Money Funnel System, the Common Sense Guide to Financial Organization. We want to welcome you to our fourth and final episode of Money Matters. In this episode, we'll be diving into the emergency account and living with contentment.
In our previous videos, we have talked about the payments account and spending account. The payments account, properly funded, is what makes this system work so well. Spending can now be fun when you know you are not taking away money from your household expenses. We also touched on the importance of setting money aside to build up an emergency account.
According to a recent 2018 survey, 65% of Americans do not have any money saved. Additionally, according to the Federal Reserve, nearly half of Americans could not cover a $400 expense without borrowing the money or selling something.
If an emergency happens and someone has to go to the hospital, or the water heater breaks down, or the car breaks down, what would you do? How are you going to cover that expense? Or I don't know, what happens when a global pandemic breaks out? Sadly, we never realize how important an emergency account actually is until we have to face an emergency.
It's kind of like being stuck in the rain without an umbrella. Nice day today, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty nice, except for these rain clouds rolling in.
Oh yeah, I see those coming in. I was planning on going to the beach today. I didn't bring my umbrella.
Oh yeah, that's not a good day for it. But you didn't bring an umbrella with you?
I wasn't planning for there to be rain, so I left it at home.
Well, you know how the weather is down here. I never leave home without my umbrella. In fact, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Isn't that how it always happens? Okay, well maybe you can be a little more prepared for rain, but what about your son's broken arm? Or the alternator in the van going out? What about your entire AC unit going bad right in the middle of summer? What about a trip to the ER?
These have been our real-life emergencies over the past few years. But thank God we were at least financially prepared because we had our emergency account in place. This account truly is an umbrella when it rains.
I can remember a time when I had gone back to work and was heading out to lunch. I wasn't expecting it, but some huge rain clouds rolled in and we got a heavy downpour. I didn't have an umbrella with me. In fact, I didn't even own one at the time and ended up having to run to Target to buy one. After that experience, I always keep that umbrella in my vehicle. Sometimes it bugs me because of the space it takes up and it gets in the way of things at times, but I will never take it out of my vehicle just in case I need it.
When I lost my job, as I mentioned in last week's video, I was working as an engineer in the oil field. The oil field market is always up and down. It was like a roller coaster every single day. There were times when we were super busy and other days where there was literally nothing to do. We looked ahead and saw storm clouds on the horizon. And although the call was a shocker, we weren't surprised when I got laid off.
When a company decides to make a change, they don't call you and ask your advice. They make their decision and then you have to deal with it. Fortunately, we had some money tucked away as well as a severance package that came in. God truly did take care of us during this time. We also learned the value of having money set aside for emergencies only. This account is specifically designated, as the title says, for emergencies only. This money is to be used to cover those unexpected expenses we all know are going to happen, we just don't know when.
Having an account that can turn an emergency into an inconvenience feels really, really good. Dave Ramsey, as well as other financial gurus, would recommend 3 to 6 months of household expenses to be saved in this account. If you remember back in episode number 2, we chatted about the payments account and how much to budget and send to this account, the payments account, every month. If you determined that you needed $3,000 per month to cover your household expenses, you would then multiply that number by 3, 4, 5, or 6. Making an emergency account target balance somewhere between $9,000 and $18,000.
Now wait, You may be asking, an $18,000 emergency account? Yes, we get that is a lot of money. It's really up to you and your spouse to decide how much money you need to cover your family for a certain amount of time. There are some things you can consider when trying to decide what your target balance should be. Is your job volatile? Do you see big changes coming in the next year or two? Is your spouse quitting his or her job to come home and take care of the kids or a parent? Are you self-employed? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you probably want to be on the 6-month side of the equation.
If you work at a very stable job and don't foresee any changes on the horizon, then maybe you can be on the 3-month side of the equation. Only you know the volatility of your income. You must look around and analyze and make your decision accordingly. Pray about this. Remember what we have said before. All of this might be practical, but it doesn't mean that God is not involved. Once you figure out what that target balance should be, let's discuss where the account should be located.
So first and foremost, you need to have some access to this money. You don't want to drive to the bank 2 hours away in the middle of an emergency. The money needs to be available to you at a moment's notice so you can tackle whatever situation you may encounter. Our emergency account is in the same bank as our payments account and is located 5 miles away from our home. We can get in the car and quickly access the money.
If you recall in episode 2, though, we discussed separating the spending account and the payments account into 2 separate banks. As for the emergency account, you can keep this at the same bank you have your payments account at. We keep some distance but still allow for some accessibility. If you will, just imagine a lock and chain around these 2 accounts. But remember, you still have the key. The money sitting in this bank serves 2 specific purposes. It runs your household for the month and it covers those unexpected emergencies, nothing else.
Now that those specifics are out of the way, how do you even begin building up the balance in this account? Let's return to our hypothetical $5,000 income. Also recall that we said $3,000 of this money is for payments. It will be in the payments account. $2,000 of this is for the spending account. We also said that the money in the spending account is free for you to spend as you please, but the goal is not to simply blow through this money. We want you to create a goal for it, which might be building your emergency account.
If you know that you have $2,000 in this account to spend, what if you decide to take $500 from this account and send it to your emergency account? Then that would leave you with only $1,500 to spend rather than $2,000. You could choose to do more or choose to do less. That's up to you. The goal is to figure out what your target balance should be in your emergency account and determine how you and your family are going to get there. Remember, the less you spend, the more you can send towards your emergency account.
This whole process really is a family endeavor. If you have young children like we do, or older teenagers, they can still be part of the process. There may be big changes coming your way when you start implementing the system. You may have to adjust your spending temporarily to meet these goals, or you may have to make lifelong changes like we did to keep yourself ahead and out of debt. Whatever the situation may be, we encourage whole family involvement.
Until you have that emergency account set, you may have to tell yourself and other members of your family no. If you have an emergency and no money to cover it, but you are walking around with new shoes and a new purse, what good does that do? Get that emergency account built. And then you can enjoy that money a little more knowing that you have your household expenses and obligations planned for, as well as having an umbrella when it rains.
So here's the final takeaway that we really don't want you to miss. We have covered a lot of ground over these past 4 weeks, teaching you how you can set up your own money funnel system. However, this entire system can easily fall to the wayside if you lack one thing. The way we view our money depends on our contentment. the way we handle our money depends on our contentment. I love Paul's perspective on it. In Philippians 4:12 through 13, he says, I know both how to make do with little and I know how to make do with a lot. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being content. Whether well-fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need, I am able to do all things through him who strengthens me.
Christine and I truly believe that successful financial stewardship depends often on our ability to be content in our circumstances, which also depends often on our faith, trusting that God will meet our needs and accepting that He may not necessarily always give us our wants.
For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, and by craving it, some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. 1 Timothy 6:10. By being wise and good stewards of the income that the Lord provides, we make ourselves available to be used for His purposes in this world. It is the love of money that causes us to steer from God's purposes for the money He provides. It is contentment that helps us avoid the pains of chasing after our wants rather than being grateful for the needs that are met. When we obey God's principles for money, practice the tithe, and live generously for His kingdom, that is the best investment we can ever make.
Keep in mind that this concept, the money funnel system, is customizable to you and your family. Do what works best for you and your family and your financial situation. Think about how you are currently running your finances, learn what we're teaching, and reassess your situation. Pursue success. If you have been saying to yourself that you need to make some financial changes, now is the time to do it. God equips us. We just need to press on in courage, hope, and faith.
If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to reach out to us on social media or at themoneyfunnelsystem.com. It is such a privilege getting to help people navigate how to organize their money, especially during these uncertain times.
On the back of the book, if you guys have a book, we have an email address where you can reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what we're teaching. We are here to help in any way that we can. We wish you and your family all the best. Stay safe, be well, and God bless.